get him up on stage. We've got international speaker and clinical hypnotherapist Garry Coles. Garry is one of a very small number of hypnotherapists to hold an MSc in clinical hypnotherapy. He has consulted at a major UK hospital for over 17 years, practicing with thousands of cancer patients, specialising in oncology-based hypnosis work for patients throughout their entire cancer journey. The UK Hypnosis Convention in 2016 claimed Garry to be amongst the top 30 hypnotherapists in the world. And in addition to the hospital, Garry has five busy practices in London and the southeast of the UK, including one based within a GP surgery. Yes, GPs are starting to take notice of hypnosis. Garry is a regular presenter at conferences and conventions all over the world, as well as presenting his own popular masterclasses. And guys and girls, he is here with us live between flying all over the world. We've managed to capture him, we've kidnapped him, we've brand napped him, ripple napped him to come and join us on the stage. So guys and girls, give a very warm Ripple Maker welcome to Garry Coles.
Thank you. And hello.
Hello. Gary, I'm so excited to have you here. And oh my gosh. Amazing to capture this moment in time with you. So we want to squeeze as much as we can in the time we've got. So Garry, I gave a little bit of information about you there. Tell us what I didn't say. What did I miss out of that introduction that you want everybody to know about you?
I think that's pretty much it. As you said, my specialism is hypno-oncology. It's hypnotic interventions for the cancer journey. That's what I'm known for. I am a full-time hypnotherapist, but that's the stuff that I'm known for worldwide in particular.
Yeah, and because you've niched so much in that area, and you've really, I mean, guys and girls, I met Garry when we were speaking on stage at an event a few weeks ago, and Gary's session, even though I am not a hypnotherapist, I sat through all of Gary's session because the research that Garry was sharing, the amazing work that you're doing around cancer. I mean, it's not just, you're not just reading a book and then regurgitating that. You're creating the bloody book. You're part of the research. Tell us all how you've built your brand as a hypnotherapist, because we've got a lot of people here who are coaches, and in fact, tell us in the chat, are you a coach, are you a hypnotherapist, are you a mentor, are you a trainer? Like, tell us, sum it up in one or two words. How would you brand yourself? And if you've got a fame name, definitely get that in there. So Garry, how have you done it? Because you've got 5 practices, you're speaking all over the world, you're the example of what all these guys and girls want to do. So
it sort of jumped from being just a jobbing hypnotherapist. That was my original thing, just a jobbing hypnotherapist. I mentioned a bit, you mentioned research, that I'm very interested in. I've written a hypnosis script book. I'm writing an academic book at the moment. But my research that actually got me noticed was part of my master's degree research. I actually did a study into pre-surgical hypnosis and the effects that it had on the recovery quality in breast cancer operations. And I was able to demonstrate that it did, and how and why, in a very scientific way. But prior to that was, I'm not a person that sort of necessarily believes in karma and all these other things, but it's been a story of being in the right place at the right time and almost giving something back before it starts giving me back. Because I started off as just a general hypnotherapist. My original idea, and again, everything happened out of the blue. A few weeks after I qualified as a hypnotherapist, I had a phone call from the hospital. And they said, we've just heard you qualified as a hypnotherapist. We used to have one in the cancer unit. They've gone. It would be really useful. Would you like to donate some time to us? And at that time, there was two sides. One, I lost my mother very young with cancer. So that obviously there was a little bit at the back of my mind. But at that point, being newly qualified, I was feeling a little bit mercenary, thinking I need experience now. And I suddenly got this offer of working in a hospital, and I was seeing 8 patients a day straight off the bat. So my experience went through the roof, and my impression, or my idea at that time, was to go to the hospital for a few weeks, gain experience, and then go off. And as you've mentioned, over 17 years later, I'm still there. I never did get away. I only do sort of half to 1 day a week now, but I've worked with a couple of thousand cancer patients in that time. But then just through the work that I was doing there, the hospital sent me on lots of cancer courses, so I didn't realise how much knowledge I had. Then there was another famous hypnotherapist asked me to do some research for them in that area, and asked me how much I would charge. And I said, well, no, I do my cancer work for free. I do that as a charity, 1 day a week. So I did a year's research for them, and they said, oh, how much do you want? And I said, no, I said I do it for free. So they said, oh, well, you deserve something, so I'll take you under my wing and teach you everything I've perfected over the years. So I learned a lot more things there. Then I got invited to a party in Harley Street in London, where I met one of the daytime TV doctors. He was learning hypnotherapy but wasn't confident enough to use it, and he asked this other hypnotherapist that was mentoring me whether she would work with his patients, and she turned around and said, oh no, I'm just going back to my home in America. Gary's really brilliant, he'll sort them out for you. So I ended up working with his patients to such an extent that he became my patient, which is why I can't say who it is. And then I got invited back to another party in Harley Street, and I said I'd love to get into Harley Street one day, but I don't know how to. And he said, well, join my practice. So I joined his practice. He's now long gone, and I share it with somebody else, so that got me into there. Then I had I got offered the chance to do a master's degree, and decided I wanted to make it really difficult for myself and do medical research, which I did, which was the research I just did. And it proves that how the doctors and surgeons are now taking it more seriously. Because the one person, I had lots of ethics issues, but the one person that stood in my way was the teaching surgeon. They said, you've got to have a meeting with her. If she says yes, it's happening. If she says no, it's not happening. And she was giving me such a hard time. I thought, there's no way she wants to do this. She's just trying to catch me out, making me look stupid. And in the end, I think she was just making sure I wasn't time wasting, that I was doing robust scientific research. And at the end of it, she said, yeah, okay, we'll do it. And that was good. So I went on and did it. And I remember the best moment I had in the research was about 8 or 9 months later, while I was still doing the research. All the breast cancer operations were done on a Friday morning. And I went in there, and she came up to me and she said, we know which patients work well with you now. We know the sort of people you're looking for. She said, if you want me to change my elective list around to accommodate you, just let me know. And I thought, if I've got the teaching surgeon is now willing to move their operations around to do what I want to do, then I think, yeah, we've made some inroads there. So the research turned out well. And then I didn't think much more of it, but then I started having a few people learnt about it, and I got emails of saying, oh, you're an expert on this, can you give me some advice? And so I did. And then I was asked to do a couple of podcasts, so I was getting more emails, and international podcasts even more. And then that culminated with me being invited to speak at the UK Hypnosis Convention, which I'm doing for the 8th time next month. So and then on the basis of that, I was invited to go to Vegas and talk there. And then a few people said to me, you need to put a course together, you need to teach people, doctors, psychologists and hypnotherapists. And initially I thought nobody's going to be interested, and I gave in due to the pressure. So I did put a course together, both online and live, and I did a few in the UK. Then I was asked to do some in Florida, and then in Vegas, and then in New York. I did some across Europe, and then the strangest one out of the blue, I even had a group of psychologists ask me to go and do a private one in Bahrain for them. So I had a nice week out in Bahrain teaching psychologists. So it was almost as though I've started by giving things back, and now all these years later it's paying me back, because now I've got this life that I'm going all around the world talking about what I do, teaching what I do, just based on the fact that I was doing it as a charity to give something back when I started.
I love that so much. There's always this question when we start out in business: where's the money in that? Where's the money in that? Will that make money? Will this idea make money? And literally, you have been the embodiment and proof that when you love something and you are passionate about it to the point that you are like obsessed with the topic, you are so involved, your heart, every part of you. Melinda was talking a little while ago about the values behind it, really being driven by those values. You obviously have a very strong commitment value, and a loyalty to your work value, and a loyalty to the people that you serve value. And so that's been an obvious driver. I can hear that. What I also heard was they were bugging me to do this course, and you were judging the idea. Nobody will think about doing that. Nobody will want this. And of course you've done it. And now doing that next step, saying yes, it's what I'm hearing is you've said yes at every opportunity. You've said yes. You haven't judged it. And even when you did, the idea was still like, you're not going to say no to this because we're going to force you to do it.
Yeah, that was it.
And
Yeah.
you said yes at every point, and it's worked out.
Yeah, and and that's gone to sort of now doing a script book, another academic book on the way, some other products for the general public, sort of going on from there. So yeah, there's a lot of things still going forward in that niche that I think will serve people, will help them, give them benefits, but will also produce income.
Brilliant. And you are an example for our coaches, hypnotherapists, people that are providing services. You are a brilliant shining example of speaking about that topic, flying all over the world, being a thought leader and a brand leader in that topic. I know that you've got an activity that you want to do with everyone tonight. So what have you got for us?
Because I wanted something that wasn't sort of hypnotherapy, but one of the things that we say, being as a hypnotherapist, our job is to change people's ways of thinking, or in particular, change their perception. And there's one thing I always say to people, that I can change your perception about something that fast, and it will be permanent. And people say, no, it's not possible. That's not possible to change perceptions that fast and particularly make it permanent. And I have a number of stories that I give to clients and patients to say, right, here's a scenario that will change your perception. So I thought it'd be nice to see whether anybody else has got ideas of what, in just one or two phrases or one or two scenarios of just a couple of lines, couple of sentences, what can you say that would change somebody's perception that fast? And would be permanent, but then also prove you could, despite it being permanent, then prove you can reverse it. So
oh my goodness! Wow.
Thoughts?
I think we should pick somebody to do this with. Who would like to come up? Who wants to come and play? Because we've got some people backstage. Oh, right, Lydia's putting her hand up. Right, Lydia, come on up. Let's pin you onto the screen. Let's get you up there. All right. So Lydia, you're really getting it this time, aren't you? You've won the media package. You're like, I'm just going for it. So right, let's pin you as well, Garry, so that hopefully you can see both Garry and Lydia on the screen. Right, Garry, ask your question to Lydia. Let's do some brainstorming.
What sort of scenario can you give me, a very quick one, short one, task, whatever, that would actually change my perception very, very fast and permanent? About anything at all, just to demonstrate that you can do that. I mean, the idea is to prove that you can change the way somebody will think about something. They will see it.
So Garry, let's play with this then. So Lydia, you're all about confidence, right? So tell us all what you do.
So I work with people, women in particular, to help them to get to the inner confidence, not the like, I present, but I'm terrified on the inside, but the actual inside out of I'm confident inside, and that's what I present outside. So.
All right, perfect. So what belief would somebody have about themselves that they might say to themselves, I can never be as confident as that person there? Maybe that's what they say. Oh my God, that'd never be me. I could never be that confident. I could never be like them. Maybe that's what they're saying. So how can you prove that they could be?
Well, for example, with public speaking, to just practice it. I'm all about practicing it and being able to embody, like, just get in front of people and start practicing. So that, to me, shifts those old beliefs away from I can't do it to when they've actually done it and didn't die. They think they didn't die, then they will.
There you go. We've just found it. I can prove you won't die when you speak in public. What about that one, Garry?
I don't know whether it's ever happened, but what happens if somebody has a panic attack and has a heart attack while they're standing up?
I can prove the stage won't swallow you up. Make sure that you've got good health and safety in place. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because it forces you to really ask that question. What can I prove? Yeah,
interesting. I did see a quick, actually, up the top of the screen here. It says, curious, am I medically qualified, and what's the worst that can happen? I'm not medically qualified, as in I'm not a doctor or anything like that. I do have a master's degree in clinical hypnosis and psychology, which is sort of bordering on that. And I have a lot of, not qualifications, but I've been sent on an awful lot of internal hospital courses. But no, I'm not medically qualified in that way. So, and what's the worst that can happen with hypnosis, particularly in the areas of trauma, is that you can actually traumatize people or re-traumatize people. Somebody's asking that. I did it at the University of West London. I did my master's.
Awesome. Well, so Lydia, that's a good question for you to really ponder on. And actually what this comes down to is, what is your brand promise ultimately, isn't it? What is your brand promise? What can you back with research that says this is what I do, right? How can you give? It's like having a guarantee. And I think for you, Garry, you've mastered, we're talking about masters, but you've mastered that process of research. You've absolutely
the research, and obviously we have the branding. You know, the other thing, as you can see in the background, I set up the Association of Hypno-Oncology Practitioners, so we've got the brand for that's the overseeing part of it, and everything sort of in that brand, if you like, for that particular side of it.
Amazing. Lydia, thank you so much for playing. You know, what I love about the activity you've just done, Garry, is it's really highlighted the fact that there are a lot of coaches, trainers, speakers, authors, people who are out there trying to build a brand, and they don't have their brand promise in place. They don't have their guarantee in place. They don't have a purpose-driven research-based question that they can prove about what they do.
Yeah, well, there you go. So shall we give the answer and help one of the stories?
Sure, I think we should help them. I think we've kept them on tender hooks long enough.
And I've got quite a lot of stories depending on what we're dealing with, whether we're dealing with smoking or whatever, but my general perception one, I say to somebody, right, if I give you a scenario, tell me how you would feel and whether you could do what the task that I'm asking you to do. So what I say is, let's imagine I've got a plank of wood, and let's imagine it's something like 5 meters long, which is 25 foot long for people across the pond and things. Let's imagine it's 3 foot or a meter wide, so a huge piece of wood, very, very thick as well, something, 6 inches, something like that. Very, very tough supporting piece of wood. And I say, right, if we lay that piece of wood down outside in the yard flat, can you get on that piece of wood on one end? Can you walk along it and get off the other end? Is that a task that anyone can do? And they'll say,
guys and girls, give us the answers in the comments.
Yeah, could you do that? You wouldn't panic, you wouldn't fall off it, trip over, or do anything else, so that's nice and easy. And then I say to people, okay, let's imagine we got some little step stools, little steps, say just about three steps off the ground. And we put the plank of wood between the 2 steps. So it's now about 2 feet off the ground, and you have to go up the steps, get onto the piece of wood, walk along it, go down the other end. Again, is that a nice, easy task? You can do that, walk along it, you wouldn't fall over, fall off, panic, or anything else. So that's nice and easy. And then I say to the person, okay, well, now we're going to move the plank again, and it's now between 2 tower blocks, and you've now got to walk across the plank between 2 tower blocks. Will you still do that? No, there we go. Melinda has said, no, why not? What has changed? Your perception has changed. The task is still the same. It's getting on the plank of wood, walking across it and getting off the other end. Now, people say, but I might fall off and kill myself. But you've just told me twice you can walk across it without falling over or falling off it. So the task has not changed. It is your perception as the only thing that's changed that quick, that fast. But then I always tell people, once they've digested that, is if you're now told that your block of flats, your tower block is on fire and it's going to collapse in 30 seconds, will you run across it then if that's your only way of surviving? So your perception's changed again. You can do the task again. So the task has never changed. Your perception has changed twice that fast during that. So that's how we can demonstrate that we can change perceptions that fast and make them permanent.
Isn't that wild?
The task never changed. It's only the perception.
That is wild. And you can apply that to literally anything. You know, could you create £50,000, dollars or euros in the next 7 days? The answer is yes. And then you think, well, if I had to, if the purpose wasn't big enough, the answer would be no. But the answer could be yes. And if you had to raise that money in 7 days, or something bad would happen, you'd do everything you could in your power to raise it, wouldn't you? So nothing changed. The only thing that changed was your perception of it. Absolutely. So this applies to wealth, it applies to business, it applies to success, it applies to absolutely everything. My goodness. Well, Garry, thank you so much for being with us this evening and for helping us to see not only what's missing in each and every one of our brands, but how we also can think next time we come up against a block or a limitation or I can't do that. I can't possibly do that. That's not something I can do. No, I could never do that. Is to imagine that that is on the other side of a burning building.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now
change
could you
your
do
perception. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, amazing. Well, Garry, thank you so much. How can people reach out and connect with you? I know we can see it on the back there. What's the best way?
Well, both of those have got links actually on the websites. Release Hypnotherapy is my general hypnotherapy thing. Hypnooncology.com is my hypno-oncology stuff. So that's for people that want training books and so on. And go to either of those, and there are contact forms and email addresses and phone numbers.
Amazing. Garry, thank you for the heart that you bring into everything that you do, and for being the example of the true embodiment of what a ripple maker is.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Guys and girls, give it up for Garry. What did you learn? Get it in the comments. What's your takeaway? What's your light bulb moment? What did you learn? What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it?